The reason that we are focusing on elections is because it's such a critical year in America, not only for women, but for anyone who votes.
A little louder.
We have seen people whose votes have been denied them. We have seen people who have been purged from rolls for no reason at all. We have seen people who are told that they can't vote or whose voting places are shifted without telling them. We are faced with a major crisis. In addition, women particularly have come to realize that this is their year. I believe that 75% of the people running for the House of Delegates in this country, the National House of Delegates, U.S. Congress, are women. We have never seen that kind of response for this. So, we talked about it in the summer, about the fact that we needed to do some things on voting. And so, we said the first one we would do is how you get women involved in voting, what women need to do to be electable and to maintain their offices. And then next month we're going to talk about how we make our elections safe from any kind of hacking that could go on, whether it's Russian or here. No one knows exactly what happens, but we're going to make sure they're vouchsafed. And so today we brought together this panel. We have Loreto Gorbanatos. Loreto is our Vice President of Media Relations. As she said, she's a filmmaker, an author, and a producer. She's won 15 Telly Awards for her television productions, including documentaries on the Baltimore Fire of 1904, which I didn't know happened, and Billie Holiday, and is the owner of McDonough Davis Associates and the HBC TV, HBC standing for Hanbury Cross. Her film and TV genres stretch from children's programs to art museums to women's history to the celebration of Black history, the Baltimore teen scene, the senior scene, and sports shows, but also for political interviews that she does with women who are running or who are in office. She also is very generous with her time to community causes. Her production talents are many, and we're fortunate to have her on the CWI board. Today we've asked her to employ her vast knowledge of media uses and creation to talk about how women candidates can utilize social media, particularly video, to enhance their candidacy and their public image to get their message across. Gorbanatos will describe how she provides opportunities for candidates and elected officials through her TV shows, Her Voice, and A Place at the Table. And let's remember, if you aren't at a place at the table, you are on it as the menu, and women are tired of that. Loreto?
Oh, we're going to start? Okay. So Sherry, you're going to... All right, so first I'm just going to let you see this video. It's a compilation of 150 hours of women's programming. Now, 10 years I've shot the National Hall of Fame and the Maryland Hall of Fame. So that alone is an hour and a half each of each show. But this is like a little snippet of all the different shows put together. And I wanted to say my little announcement I was going to make was in 1991, I partnered with a woman named for All Women Film Production Company, and we thought we were the bomb because she had won 5 Emmys, and she was on The Cosby Show, not probably good now, but at that time. But she was the second camera operator, okay, and I wanted to produce and direct and do all that stuff. She did too, but they weren't going to give her a chance at that time. So we were partners for 3 years, and then I said to her, Donna, I'm just going to go do it with this little equipment. She said, well, you won't be taken seriously. It's not legit. There's no money behind it. So I want to just say that Donna is now on Murphy Brown, the new show. Okay? And I said to her, she said, well, I'm on Murphy Brown. I said, yeah, but Murphy Brown gets $50,000 an episode to shoot. I have zilch. Okay, so whatever, because this is called guerrilla TV. So it's not what you got, it's what you do with what you got. And if it's not perfect, you have to forgive the sins. I mean, if you want to give me $50,000, I'll perfect everything you're going to see, okay? But the only reason I bring all that up is this is the original material, which I have all CWI, and everything else we shot is all on the original material, unedited. You're going to see what it's called a resolution removed from the original. So some might be a little blurry, out of focus. There might be some lip sync. I see lip sync problems with the news every day. I'm warning you ahead of time. Please don't judge that by that. Listen to the content, who's talking and what they're saying, how these people came and let me tape them, or I went and they allowed me to tape them, and judge it by that. And if you don't want to be the second camera operator, Sherry, I promise you, you're co-producing all the other shows we do. If you don't want to be the second camera operator and you want to produce and direct and be involved and make a difference, then sometimes you're going to have to go out there and go do what we call guerrilla TV. Okay? So hit it. And poor Sherry has to run around and now become...
Actually, there's a mouse right there. Holly, can you double click?
Oh, sure. Double click the
Let's see what happens.
Oh, 'cause I haven't.
Yeah, just double click. Thank you.
Things in the community that that you don't even think about, trying to make a difference, not only in Annapolis, but making a difference in Baltimore.
And see what happened in the past, the money goes to general fund. Because it goes as a result of the casino gambling, which we needed a constitutional amendment to actually have casino gambling in the state of Maryland. So because it was, and because this is the funds for it, we thought it was best for the constituencies to make a determination, and we locked the money out and designated it specifically for education and educational purposes alone.
People to get involved. You know, we have election day is just around the corner, June 24th, so please contact us, get involved, and I'd love your vote on June 24th.
This is Brooke Learman. I'm running for state delegate in District 46. I'm running because I love Baltimore City. I live in Fells Point with my husband and son. As a parent, I share the aspirations of other parents that they have for their children. that the school that they send their kids to will be the best available, and the neighborhood that they live in will be safe and clean and green.
Carolina.
Well, actually, I was born in North Carolina, but I never really lived there. So I went to college. I'm a military brat. My dad was in the Air Force for almost 30 years. I lived all over the place, including here in our great state of Maryland. But I went to almost 14 schools, I think, when I was growing up. So every region of the country, so many different states. I think by the time I'd gone to college, I had actually spent the night in every single state in the union.
Okay.
I have been an advocate for people all of my life, starting from being a PTA president for 2 different public schools, all the way to organizing and forming a brand new union, representing 8,000 city employees, over 500 different classifications, and that ranged from people with no skills all the way up to people with doctorate degrees.
Go after funding and money and things to help get people in drug treatment and in other issues. And so when I hear the problems coming and people talk about opiates and heroin addiction and cocaine addiction and all of that, for 50 years or more it's been going on in Baltimore City. We never said anything, we never did anything. We let them die. But now that it has spread into the larger community, now we have more bills on opiate than you can ever imagine. So that's
Barbara Franklin is the first White House staffer who was employed specifically for the purpose of finding excellent women to work in Washington in the federal government. That was done by President Nixon, and she has finished a book recently, A Matter of Simple Justice, to talk about how important it is and has been to get women where we are going. We still have a way to go.
Not just run as a woman, but run as a qualified woman, so that when you have the chance to make key decisions and be part of the discussion, that you've done your homework and that you are able to do it forthrightly. And then also, I was just having a mentor. I hope that I'm a mentor for other young women.
Into women who are seeking legislative office or are serving as current legislators. Today, I am excited to be joined by Lenore Dawson and Debbie Ritchie, and both of them are seeking political office. Debbie?
I'm Debbie Ritchie. I'm running for the County Council in District 3 in Anne Arundel County, which encompasses most of Pasadena. I decided to run for County Council. In preparation for that, I attended Emerge. I was fortunate enough to get into the Emerge class, which is a program that trains Democratic women.
Yes, my name is Lenora Dawson. I am running for Clerk of Court, Baltimore City. I am a native Baltimorean, born and raised. I earned my bachelor's degree from Morgan State University and my master's degree from the University of Baltimore. I am currently an administrator. I've been an administrator in city government for 10 years.
Is Jules Dunn and Howie.
Good morning, everyone. We're so happy that you've joined us, and we have an esteemed panel for today's conversation. Let them introduce themselves.
Good morning. My name is Nicole Drew. I am the first Vice President for the Montgomery County Commission for Women. I'm also an attorney employed by the federal government and happy to serve you.
Good morning. I'm Ann Colt-Litis. I am the Division Chief for the Special Victims Unit for the City of Baltimore State's Attorney's Office, and I'm a candidate for Anne Arundel County State's Attorney.
Hi, I'm Barbara Robinson, Senator Barbara Robinson. I was in the House of Delegates for 10 years. I've been a state senator for 2 years, and I'm running for re-election representing the 40th Legislative District in Baltimore City.
Hi, my name is Pam Booby, and I'm an attorney and businesswoman in Anne Arundel County. I'm also the former chair of the Anne Arundel County Commission for Women, and I'm running for delegate in District 33.
A place at the table is equal pay for women. And I understand there was a barrage of commentary from Monique about her experience with Netflix. And I understand you, Jewel, have done some research on that. Can you tell us a little bit about it, and maybe the other ladies can discuss it with you?
We have a great topic and a great panelist of ladies. Victory, why don't you go ahead and start us off?
Well, absolutely. Well, I'd love to meet each of you personally, so please introduce yourselves for us and our wonderful audience.
Hi, my name is Lola White, and I am happy to be here today.
Yes, I'm Treya Betrell. I'm an upcoming actress in the Washington, D.C. area.
Hello, my name is Kendra Wilson. I'm a firefighter and I'm a paramedic.
So we see every day in the news there's something new. So St. Mary's County, Santa Fe, Parkland shootings. Do any of you have kids? Do you feel like your kids are safe in their schools? And what can we do to make our communities safer?
Where women have a voice and opinions and share about different issues that may be going on with women. I'm your moderator, Shantae.
And I'm your co-moderator, Victory, and we have an exciting group of women with us today.
Hello, and welcome to A Place at the Table. My name is Jules Dunham Howie, and I serve as host for this wonderful show. I am the CEO of Jewel Enterprise, a development consultancy firm out of Baltimore, Maryland, and the president of the Maryland Black Caucus Foundation.
The three most significant civil rights acts. So people thought that the battle had been won. But we all know that first laws passed doesn't mean guaranteed opportunity. And then what we now know was that when a young woman named Bernice Sandler from my own home state of Maryland, then a doctoral student at the University of Maryland, was denied a faculty position at the school. They said, hey, you're becoming too strong for a woman. We don't know if you're going to quite fit in. Gee, we don't know about you. She was mesmerized. Let's go to work with the charismatic and talented Congresswoman Patsy Mink. Patsy Mink took hold of these issues and began an early draft of Title IX, having Dr. Sandler at her side.
That place was the passage of Title IX. Thank you, Senator Byer. House and in the Senate, and when the House, just speaking to the House, and I just spoke to some of the Republicans on my way over here, we all send you our very best regards and many good wishes for much, much future success. As I always say when it comes to women, more power to us. Thank you all. My great, great pleasure to welcome and introduce Michelle Kwan. I heard this. Someone that I have lived up to for many years, Dr. Condoleezza Rice. I guess be in this wonderful space. I obviously am very honored to be with you on this momentous occasion celebrating the 40th anniversary of Title IX. I'd like to thank my good friend Bev Ryder and the Women's Hall of Fame, the National Women's Hall of Fame for this event. Thank the board members, staff, and volunteers who have kept the mission of the Hall alive by bringing to life the stories of groundbreaking women. I also want to thank one of my predecessors, Dr. Condoleezza Rice, a pioneer in her own right and a champion for women's progress. 2 years and then 5 years, we finally have realized that we are part of a very, very long movement and revolution in social history, because we are really changing the very basis of human relations. And that does take a bit longer than any discrimination. Thank you all very, very much.
From a very high level, because I was the AA for science when this came into headquarters. We needed to do the sky crane because previously with the balloon landings, where we just bounced our way in, the rotors were very small, and we couldn't use that technique for this larger rover, and we knew we wanted all these instruments. We had to have all these instruments simultaneously in order to be able to nail whether there's... So in my case, as Linda mentioned, I have been to the Antarctic and also to the North Pole, and so I'm going to show some of the pictures from the Antarctic first over this particular, this cover picture. Okay, thank you for having me, and my name is Florence Tan, and I'm an engineer. I've built electronics for, I guess you guys have heard of the Mars rover, right? Oh, good.
who is the legend of today. Pretty much everything here today is all about Miss Kathy Hughes. She's been a pioneer and an iconic figure for our community for years. She's done so many things as an entrepreneur and just a trendsetter for, us to look up to as a community. And I'm just honored just to hear her speak today.
So today, I'm not going to do much speaking. They're going to unveil my wax figure to go in the Great Blacks and Wax Museum.
All of us through, that it is our commitment to live the dreams of our parents, our mom and dad. And then every night, I remember they would come into the room and we would say the Lord's Prayer in unison, and then he would stop and he'd say, what's the family motto? And the family motto was all for one and one for all.
Nominees in the past, it is really quite special. And to a lot of friends that are here, people that have helped me over the years, I want to say a special thank you. I want to tell you how I came to this. Because I had been working for a men's veterans organization for a number of years. And I knew there were women out there who had served. Because I was in World War II in college, and when I graduated, I was in defense industry. I got started in the 60s after I came back from Iran, where I had been for 2 years, following my husband, who was with the Harvard Advisory Group, advising the Shah of Iran with the 14 other advisors from different parts of the world.
Involvement in this is a primary sponsor. The two numbers of our bill, they have been introduced. I want you to all write them down because, as we know, everything in the General Assembly is a function of bill numbers. So here they are: House Bill 294 and Senate Bill 224. This is a very highly technical bill.
I am myself personally thrilled to be getting this award. I thank Beth and Beverly, co-presidents of the Hall of Fame, for this wonderful honor. And I'm pleased to be joining so many wonderful other inductees today.
Needing all of my time, I'm needing to unwind. The best is yet to come, they say. Mindless wandering eyes, I'm needing to unwind. The best is yet to come, they say.
Keeping the legs moving. No jumping because we're not going to jump today. So here we go.
As cool as you please. Oh, they can stand up off all that
Our next speaker is Alice Coleman. Alice is a feminist activist for over 45 years. She started as a beer babe. She's the political director of the Feminist Majority for over 20 years. And prior to that, she worked for the National Organization for Women for 20 years, serving as the ERA field organizer, the field director, and the political director. She's worked in a lot of political campaigns for feminist women candidates, especially through such projects as Elect Women for a Change. Remember that one? Cohen has directed major rallies and marches for the ERA and reproductive justice and worked on LGBTQ civil rights and labor marches. The largest march that I can ever think of her, and I was in it doing, was the March for Women's Lives, which brought over 1 million women to D.C. for that march. That was fabulous. She's done multiple political trainings, assessments of candidates, recommendation endorsements, and offered political advice to a lot of women. She chairs an informal network of political action committees that focus on feminist women candidates for Congress. And you're never too young or too old, is her theory, to become politically active, because we need every one of you to do that. Alice is going to help us understand what a political action committee, or PAC, is, and what does it allow us to do. Cohan will discuss the importance of feminist PACs, because who's elected impacts all the issues that we care about. We encourage feminist organizations to form PACs. She will also describe the endorsement process of various PACs. For example, there's a network of feminist PACs and one of the progressive PACs that meet to share information about the races that are going on and the candidates. And she'll also describe how organizations and individuals can still be active within a PAC. Alice, it's all yours.
As I take a drink of
Yes, well,
I'll edit that out. I want to start out by, when you all went around and introduced yourself, a number of you talked about the issue or issues that were most important to you. And I wanted to just go back and let's look at some of those issues. Who was it that said that childcare was really critical, right? I want to look at legislative issues that could be changed by Congress. So we've got childcare. A number of you talked about sexual harassment issues, both in education and in general. There are things that the legislature and Congress could deal with, right? Global peace really starts at home, doesn't it? And the actions that Congress takes on funding and on aggressive actions to other countries, as we are living through right now. So my point is that whatever the legislative issue is that you care about, Congress has a major part of deciding its outcome in future. Right now, as we sit with this Congress, do you expect any of your legislation to go through? No, right? The only way we can get future progress, the feminist majority believes, is to flip the House and Senate. In other words, not necessarily to be at it as a partisan issue, but coming from the issues that feminists care about. The only hope that we have is to change the leadership and majority from Republican to Democratic. Not that the Democrats are perfect, but they certainly are a whole lot better on the issues that we care about. So, what's the best way to do that? We feel it is to form political action committees. Now, what's a political action committee? It is a legal entity that allows your organization to endorse, contribute, and do in-kind contributions on behalf of candidates. So right now, I think the feminist majority has endorsed over 65 new candidates. I call it an embarrassment of riches because there's so many terrific women that are running, that are clear feminists, that are for child care, that are for tightening the laws, not loosening them on sexual harassment, that, are for changes in global peace issues. And so by forming the PAC, it allows us to take more direct action in impacting the outcome of those elections. And that's really what we have been encouraging now for a number of years for organizations that are C3. In other words, C3 organizations can do education. If you have what's called an H selection, you can spend 20% of your budget on lobbying. If not, you can only do education and communication. But if you have a PAC, you can get involved, as you said earlier, at a seat at the table.
Right.
And really have some impact. And the candidates really do remember you. So that when you have been involved and helped them get elected, when you go to try to lobby them, the reality is they are going to remember you and have a more welcoming kind of attitude. Now, this gets a little confusing, but I mentioned C3s, that you can do just education and communication. And I mentioned PACs, where you can actually donate and endorse and do in-kind contributions. There's also another legal entity which is called C4s. And C4s can do some political activity. They can actually endorse candidates, but they can't make contributions. So that's important, because if you're a C3, the first step could be to form a C4. So at least you could endorse candidates as an organization. And I mentioned as a PAC, you can not only endorse, you can make contributions, but you can do in-kind contributions, which is very important. Like AFT, I'm sure, has all three.
Yeah.
And you send out volunteers to work directly in the campaign.
That's right.
And often they'll wear t-shirts or buttons to identify themselves as AFT, so that it's noted in the campaign and you get credit. Okay? As a C3, you really can do, though, a lot of activities without having a PAC. And I mentioned it, if you heard me, when our AFJ president came in, Nan Aaron. The AFT has done a lot of work and offer resources on what groups and individuals can and can't do depending on your legal status. They have like a manual on what C3s can do.
AFJ does.
Did what I say, AFT? I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I'm looking at Connie.
I know, sorry.
AFJ, where we are sitting right now. And it's called the Boulder Advisory Guide. And as she said, Nan said, they have every day an attorney assigned to like a hotline. And all you have to do is call, and they will give you advice about what you can and can't do under what legal status. So like, I think that would be really helpful for you, Connie,
Yeah,
for sorting out, Virginia,
Yes. We need to
which you've just become president of what you can do as a PAC and so forth. So I really recommend them to you all. The other thing that's interesting is that as a C3, I think people are more reluctant to do what in fact you're allowed to do. For instance, a C3 leader could be part of a group that endorses a candidate. And all you have to do is put an and you can identify it as, Sue Klein, co-chair of the Clearinghouse for Women, and with an asterisk. And then you put the asterisk down at the bottom and you say, organizational affiliation for identification purposes only. And that allows you to endorse. Okay, everybody got that?
Yeah.
And it's perfectly legal. You can also organize as volunteers, both to help voter registration. Many of us have gotten to the point where we think that instead of trying to change people's minds, what we need to do is increase the voter pool. Because many of our votes are sitting out there not coming to the polls. And that's particularly true of students, of people of color, and in some cases older people who can't easily get to the polls. In the Virginia elections last year, the state legislative elections, we increased the vote by young people from in the past 17% to 34%.
Wow.
Now that is phenomenal. And that could very well have been the difference between losing and winning in a number of those cases. So the feminist majority, through our C3, has a project which we've had for a number of years, which is called Get Out Her Vote. And we organize on college campuses, and we give information about issues. Never mention a candidate, but just talk about some of the key issues you mentioned around the table. And encourage people to get out and vote. We even have picked up a model, and I'm not going to remember the name of the school. It's a HBCU school down in the South. For years, they've had the tradition of they march to the polls. And so we're trying this year to organize campuses to march to the polls. And even before that, where are the polls? Because what's been happening is there's a trend that the local officials have been moving the polls off of the campuses and making it harder for students to vote. There's another issue that you can get involved in as a C3, is there have been challenges in state after state of saying that students can't vote where they go to school. And they demand residency, they demand a driver's license, all these difficulty barriers for voting. Well, when you look at some of the a lot of schools are huge. And if they're in small towns, they actually are larger than the town itself. So if the students can vote on campus, they make a major difference. So, I'm mentioning a couple things just so you know that you can volunteer as a C3 and help in some of these critical issues. And at the Feminist Majority, we do both C3 work on campuses and C4, where we hire students for part-time work to organize volunteers and recruit students and make sure they know to vote and organize rallies and hand out leaflets and information to make sure that the young vote. Because the young vote is ours. And the key to increasing it really makes a difference. As does communities of color, as does women. Yes?
That's really brilliant, but my question is, what are folks on the right doing? They must be aware of this
Oh, the
as well.
folks on the right are so well funded that and we haven't even, to most part, we haven't even seen them start to dump their money in. That they're going to dump money, huge amounts, into right-wing candidates.
No, but I meant on campus. Have
But
they
on
tried
campus,
to mobilize?
they've been organizing on campus too. Oh, yeah. The Young Republicans and... But remember, the majority of students are us. So we shouldn't be afraid of organizing to bring up the right, because...
One more question, and then I want to get to Delilah. That's okay with you?
Okay.
Well, I know Leisure World out in Montgomery County is a huge block.
Right.
Do they have their own, the question, I wanted to see what kind of a parallel there is, or a model. Do they have their own election place to go, site?
Their own precinct.
You work, they were a precinct itself. So that's the thing, how do you establish a precinct on a campus? I would think the Board of Elections is really hard to deal with in situations like in Indiana, or, some
Well, it
liberal-
is the
some
Board of
conservative.
Elections, but it's also the administration of the campus has a responsibility to help to facilitate voting.
That's good.
And we go, like in California, we've gone to campus administrators and met with them about what are they doing to assure access.
Terrific.
So that's basically, let's call that at this point, and I'll take other questions later. I also wanted to share some gifts if I can.
Sure.
If you'd like to have one of, I believe, Kristen Blasey Ford.
I have a poster in my window at home that I picked up at the rally yesterday.
I also am going to pass out, because I know a number of you really now are individuals, and you're not necessarily connected with an organization that could form a PAC. So I'm going to pass this around and welcome you to join the Feminist Majority, because you can become a member and become active with us. And so there's a membership form, and there's a form in which you can make a contribution. And once you join the Feminist Majority, then you can become part of our PAC. It's a connected PAC, so you have to be a member of the Feminist Majority to belong to our PAC. And you can go on the website to Feminist Majority PAC and look up the candidates that we have endorsed so far. It's mostly women, but there are some men, feminists, who we also have endorsed.
Yeah, we've
And we're
endorsed
not
one
done
from
yet.
Virginia now, too. A man who's running against, is it the 5th district? No. He's down towards the south of Virginia, but he's...
Virginia Beach and that Hampton.
You'll have to let me know, and we'll check that.
Because Pat, we have an executive vice president, Pat Roos, who is a very old and trusted worker on this, and she has a questionnaire she puts people through, and then we decide who it is we're going to endorse, and she gives the endorsements to national now as well. So.
One of the things that I think somebody had asked about was the process that we go through to endorse. And the Feminist Majority, a lot of our colleagues do questionnaires that they send out to have candidates fill out. We, the Feminist Majority, don't believe in questionnaires. We think that they are either sometimes they're filled out by a staff person, or they just sort of guess what you want to hear, but it doesn't necessarily tie them to it. So we do research, as our interns mentioned, they're doing research on all the candidates we're considering, because we feel it's our responsibility to know what their history and their record is.
Good idea.
And especially for candidates that have run for other office, we think it's insulting to send them a questionnaire and say, you know, where are you on women's rights? We should, you know, learn that ourselves. And then we try to do either a interview by phone or in person. And we also, as our friends here have looked, see what other PACs have endorsed the candidate. Now, some other PACs, as I mentioned earlier, do questionnaires, and they have, some of them do it at the local level, or they wait for their, look for their local affiliate to recommend an endorsement, or don't do it unless they agree, which makes sense. You don't want to endorse somebody when your local people don't support them.
Alice?
Yeah.
I have a question. You said that candidates pay more attention to PACs. So my question is, as an individual, then what you said leads me to believe that instead of donating as an individual to a candidate's efforts to run, it's more effective to donate to a PAC? Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Sure. I mean, it's, you know, the power of mass action. So that if, you know, 4 or 5 of us were going to make individual contributions, if we did it through a PAC, then it will carry a stronger message. And if the PAC represents the issues you care about, then it carries that message.
So is it really follow the money? Is it like...
Yeah, it is, unfortunately.
So five donations collectively is more money and a bigger voice than individual. Than 5 individuals.
I think it is.
Yeah.
That's not to say you can't do individual, but that's why I decided to bring the invitation to join, because you might want to become part of our PAC activity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, it's not too late.
All right. Okay, great presentations, everyone. This is fabulous. All right. Okay, I sang a little bit about where Emily's List lies in this whole constellation. Many of us remember Emily's List from long ago. And in terms of Layla, I have a friend who did run for office. She didn't succeed in Westchester. So New York State is pretty big. So
we are committed to ending our meeting. We can address one more question, and if you people want to talk, there's a nice little lobby outside.
Can I just answer that question, though?
Yeah, I said one more. So
No, I
you're
mean the
okay.
question she asked.
Yes, and then we will, because the board will have a business meeting in this room, so if you would like to go into the lobby, it's been a marvelous discussion, and we'd love you all to come back next month to participate in that discussion.
The voter, saving the American voting process, right.
I just wanted to quickly say that the Feminist Majority also works with both Emerge and Emily's List. The difference is that the Feminist Majority is a multiple issue organization. So we look at a wide range of issues in our endorsements. And Emily's List is a single issue on reproductive rights. So there's a difference in what we use as criteria for endorsement. Although most of our endorsements match, because if a person is good on reproductive rights, these days they tend to be good on other issues too. But we look at environment, we look at immigration issues, we look at the Equal Rights Amendment, we look at economic equity, you know, a whole package. of issues. And also, we do endorse feminist men,
Yes.
whereas Emily's list only endorses women. So each group is a little bit different.